I start?
Sir.
You start?
Yes, sir. Morning, sir. Good morning to everyone. Warm greetings to all our online participants and viewers. I, Ishta Ranyal, on behalf of the organizing committee, extend a very warm welcome to the second international conference on unmanned aerial system in geomatics, UASG 2021. It is indeed an honor and privilege to host this grand event. UASG is a platform to provide and present innovative approaches, state-of-the-art techniques, and research in the UAV sector. It offers a great opportunity to learn about the most recent developments and exchange views on the future directions of unmanned aerial systems in geomatic research, application, and services. Today, we have amongst us distinguished guests, eminent speakers, and delegates who have taken out their precious time to participate in this grand event. We thank you all for being a part of this event. We are pleased to inform you that UASG 2021 has received participation from all over the world with papers that hold great insight and innovative methodologies. May I now invite the Organizing Secretary, UASG 2021, Professor Kamal Jain, to welcome us with his official address. Professor Kamal Jain.
Thank you, Ishta.
Thank you, sir.
Respected Chief Guest, Ambar Dubey ji. I hope you can see me and hear me, Dr. Ambar Dubey ji. Sorry, so, I thought no problem from your side. Joint Secretary, Civil Aviation, our Chairman, BOG, Shri Mohan Reddy ji, Director IATR, Professor Ajit Chaturvedi ji, Dr. S.K. Ghosh, Head of the Department Civil Engineering and Chairman of this conference, Dr. P.K. Garg, Senior Faculty of Geomatics Engineering, dear colleagues, research scholars, students, and participants, national and international. Good morning to you all. I thank you for joining this 3-day conference on unmanned aerial system in geomatics. First of all, let me share why we are organizing this conference. I think we have legacy in geomatics education in India. Our first Vice Chancellor, Dr. Hart, was Chair Professor of Photogrammetry in University College London. Then our PG course started in 1958. That was again first in India. The first PhD thesis in photogrammetry was by Dr. Oswal in mid-60s. The second PhD also written after about 10 years by Dr. R.S. Tiwari. He was again from geomatics. I may consider myself to be third PhD in core photogrammetry. So we have seen transformation from advanced surveying to photogrammetry, now geomatics, and closely witnessed changing phases of analog to analytical photogrammetry, to satellite photogrammetry, and now UAV-based photogrammetry. That's why I think we are most eligible to organize this conference. Government of India has many projects such as e-governance, smart city, master plan, World Bank, water supply and sanitation. All major plans are based on large-scale map, which should be accurate and should be developed very quickly. So UAV comes in picture. So UAV has advantage. UAV I am referring because normally people are aware with UAV, not UAS, but normally in general term it is called UAS. So because UAV can be easily portable, fly from anywhere, by anyone, and it is very cost effective, and it can fly without hindering the air corridor. Now I share my work in last 4 or 5 years on UAV. We have developed quadcopter of different size with different payloads like RGB camera, multispectral and thermal camera. We have also developed water drone, and latest one is VTOL. Then we have developed analytics in drone images for large scale map generation using 3D digitization, which is still a bottleneck in any professional commercial software. This facility is not available. Latest is our video analytics in machine learning. With machine learning, we wanted to have a live demonstration in Greater Noida campus, but because now this is becoming online, so majorly I'll cover all these things in my talk on 4th morning. Because we are saying this is second conference, so we were planned to organize every year. So 2020 was cancelled because of we know that COVID pandemic and government restriction. Halfway through we cancelled after planning and declaring. In October 2020, we thought that COVID will be decreasing. So we planned for this conference in April 2021. But because international travel was restricted, so we thought we should have in hybrid mode. So hybrid mode, it was planned in IIT campus in Greater Noida. And many of the national speakers agreed to be physically present. In last 15-20 days, many of the speakers, they wanted to be online, not physically present because of COVID scenario at present. Also, our Dean of Students had some reservation because many PG students and research scholars are involved. And recently, we have some cases of COVID in campus also. So in last 4 or 5 days only, we decided to have this online from IIT campus only. That time only, not to disappoint because we were getting many requests. So we made it free without any registration fees. And that message was sent through links and everything. So I hope that we may have virtual gate crashing in the conference this time. 4 or 5 years back, I predicted that UAV will redefine image processing, GIS, and photogrammetry, which is proving now. Digital image processing is shifting now. The problem was superpixel and subpixel to big data. Drone image resolution has become smaller than superpixel in conventional photogrammetry, image processing. Because of high resolution, second major shift is pixel-based analysis to object-based analysis. And for software developer also, there is a challenge to deal with big data in real time. And they have to do programming for parallel processing and optimal use of GPU and RAM. In photogrammetry, there is a complete shift. Earlier, it was metric camera. Now it is totally shifted to non-metric camera. And now at present, conventional bundle adjustment requires, for a normal project, it exhausts high-end workstation. And many software crashes in the normal project. 3D digitization of thousands of small images is again a great challenge. Hyperspectral drone images, one project may take tens of TB data. Earlier, 220 bands of hyperspectral already was challenge in processing. Now, along with that, we have challenge of storage before processing. So I can conclude that tomorrow geometrics will be defined by UAV. I again welcome our guests and participants who graced this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite the chairman, UASG 2021, Professor S.K. Ghosh, to address the online participants.
Thank you, Ishita.
Thank you, sir.
First of all, I would like to welcome our chairman, BOG, dear Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy, our constant mentor during the preparations, Professor Ajit Chaturvedi, Director, IIT Roorkee, the chief guest of the function, Mr. Ambar Dubey, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India, the architect of this conference, Professor Kamal Jain, Professor P.K. Garg, one of our most distinguished professors in this particular area, all the attendees, invited speakers, and the organizing team of students of UASG 2021. Well, it is a pleasure to be present on this occasion of the inaugural function of the second International Conference on Unmanned Aerial Systems in Geomatics Engineering, which has been organized by the Department of Civil Engineering. And on my own personal behalf, it is also a very happy occasion, because this also happens to be my area of specialization. So I feel that we are looking forward to a very exhaustive interaction which would be coming ahead. I do recall the first UAV conference, which was held in Greater Noida on 6th of April 2019. And it was my 6th day when I had taken charge as HOD. I was extremely happy to be there, because the response that we had seen in that particular conference made up our minds that we must have this event on an annual basis, on the base. The requests which were put forward not only by the national attendees, but also by the international attendees who were there. So we had planned our next conference last year, but with the intervention of COVID, the programs got delayed. And finally, I'm thankful to God that we are able to organize this particular conference in the month of April. However, there were some hiccups. We had planned something, but God willing, we did not have to cancel, but we went on to the online mode. And looking at all the participations which is there, as I logged in today, it says registration, sorry, we are sold out. It was a very heartening pleasure and a pleasurable message to be read. So, as I'm informed by the organizing chair regarding the number of attendees, it is close to 500, and 32 plenary speakers internationally are going to be addressing the conference as such. The conference has received about 126 abstracts initially, and after proper scrutiny and reviewing of the abstracts and the papers, 79 have been selected for presentation. And I'm happy to inform that there are 16 such papers which are coming from the international domains, which is a good acceptability given the conditions that we are in. International travel and all those things are restricted. One of the very unique event which we are organizing this year is the George Everest UASG lecture. This lecture is in the honor of a great surveyor and geographer, George Everest, who actually was instrumental in determining the height of Mount Everest, and served as the Surveyor General of India, and contributed largely towards the great trigonometrical surveying project by which the whole country was provided with a network of triangulation stations of high precision, given the fact that the instrumentations which were there were not all that very high precision, but looking at the level at which the information had been generated at that point of time and the precision achieved, it was one of a very huge task which the Britishers carried out in British India. Well, we are having some very special lectures, and one of the very important lectures which are going to be is UAV in e-governance, which is the order of the day in the present day in terms of the Indian context. The Indian government has been looking forward to assistance in the e-governance for the social well-being of the people of India. And I'm happy that this lecture would actually ignite the young minds to look forward to various areas of research which are of paramount importance. Coming to the publication part of this particular conference proceedings, this has been going to be published as a Scopus Index Springer Lecture Notes in Civil Engineering. Well, this particular documentation will allow these people to have a good compendium of the work which is being carried out, and thus provide roadways to further research. Another journal which is at present, which is of very importance, and that is MDPI drones and the Journal of Unmanned Vehicle Systems. And these are more or less Q1 journals which are there. So all the papers after the presentation would be reviewed again for improvement, and then they would be sent to these journals for publication. I'm happy that this particular conference is being organized by the International Society of Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing. In short, we call it as ISPRS, one of the major nodal agencies in this particular area of geomatics engineering. Plus, we have the Association of the Indian Society of Remote Sensing, along with the UNESCO and the Indian National Commission for Cooperation with UNESCO, with the support of National E-Governance Division, Ministry of Electronics and Information and Technology, Government of India under Digital India Program, Survey of India, Defense DRDO organizations, SP Singla Constructions Private Limited, Campbell Systems, and Raven Eye Geospatial Private Limited. The last organization, that is Raven Eye Geospatial Private Limited, is a startup of the students of this particular institute, which works in the domain of spatial services associated with the drones. Well, it has been a legacy for this particular institute to have been forefronts in the various engineering areas. Well, this particular institute was established because of the Britishers wanting to create a massive civil engineering structure, which we now call it as the Ganga Canal. And for this, the engineers required and other staff, this college was set up so that it could take up the challenging task of creating this massive civil engineering structure which is there. So as we look forward to the progress which has been made by this particular area of geomatics engineering, as Professor Jain has said, we have already completed more than 50 years in this particular area. If I'm correct, I'm plus 60 now, which is there. And we had very stalwarts who had actually in the starting with Professor C.A. Hart, who was also the first Vice Chancellor, and that actually provided the impetus and the growth for this particular area. The department, this particular group or specialization has kept in time with the growth that has been there. And now what we are seeing is the growth of the UAVs as one of the very data acquisition tools which have now come up so that it can augment the digital India requirements as required by the government of India. Well, this particular conference, its theme is Wings for Sustainability, and it is aptly also called. What we are trying to do is provide sustained information regarding various phenomena which are there, and the drones or the UAVs are providing wings to us to look into all these particular domains. Finally, at the end, I would like to thank the organizers to give me this particular opportunity to speak regarding this particular conference. And also, I extend my good wishes and blessings to this particular conference, that it may be a big success and also a precursor to the next conference, which we will plan accordingly. Thank you, everyone, for your kind listening.
Thank you, Professor S.K. Ghosh. I now call upon the patron UASG 2021 Director, IIT Roorkee, Professor A.K. Chaturvedi, to address the online participants and viewers.
Thank you, Ishta.
Thank you, sir.
Chief Guest Shri Ambar Dubey, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation. Shri B.V.R. Mohan Reddy, Chairman, Board of Governors of IIT Roorkee. Professor S.K. Ghosh, Head Department of Civil Engineering. Professor Kamal Jain, Organizing Secretary of UASG 2021. and Professor P.K. Garg, and participants and attendees to this inaugural function. At the outset, let me wish all of you a very happy Good Friday. I'm very happy that the tradition that was initiated in 2019 by initiating a unique conference in this very important area, that is unmanned aerial systems for geomatics, it has now been carried forward despite all the difficulties that we have encountered, and we are able to enter into the second edition. After having seen the huge success of the first edition, this is actually a natural follow-up of that. And I'm very happy that this edition has actually surpassed the participation of the previous edition, showing the success of what was done in the inaugural edition of this conference. On this occasion, I would like to compliment the entire Department of Civil Engineering, especially the geomatics specialization, for having made a strong presence on the national landscape and also on the international academic and research space in this very important area. And I'm also like to draw the attention of all the participants that IIT Roorkee overall is making a strong presence in this area. In fact, just 6 weeks back, our alumni funded initiative named the Center for Drone Research was inaugurated by Dr. Saraswat. And it was also an initiative which was lauded by everybody, that it is in the right direction because of the importance of drones, not only in the area of geomatics, but in several other areas. And I'm sure that we'll have a lot to hear in this regard from our chairman and also the chief guest, Shri Ambar Dubey, about the importance of this area. Very happy that in the campus, we are making more and more presence in this area in the form of faculty-led startups. Most importantly, what was already mentioned previously, that is Revenai Geospatial Private Limited. And also many of you would recall that although the focus of this conference is on unmanned aerial systems, but it is for geomatics, and geomatics is closely linked to maps. And within India, the revolution of digital maps was initiated by one of our own alumni, Ms. Rashmi Verma, a co-founder of Map My India. So on this occasion, I would also like to remind ourselves that how in different ways we have been working this area, which is all interconnected. Going through the list of participants, attendees, plenary speakers, sponsors, I think it's a very impressive list of speakers, very, very creditable sponsors, whether it is UNESCO, whether it is ISPRS, whether it is local sponsors. I think the agenda is very interesting. I'm sure that the participants and the attendees will go back with a lot of things to take away from this conference, a lot of things to learn. And hopefully Professor Jain and his entire team would also get a lot of opportunities for collaborating and a lot of opportunities for showcasing our research and our technology development in this area. With these words, I would like to conclude. We look forward to hearing Mr. Ambar Dubey about the government opportunities in this regard, because IIT Roorkee would be very keen to partner with whatever opportunities that the government can offer in this regard. And I know that our chairman also is a leader in this area. So we look forward to hearing the thoughts of both these dignitaries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now welcome our revered chief guest, Mr. Ambar Dubey, Joint Secretary at Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India.
I think before that, chairman was there.
The chairman is there.
Yeah.
Please. Sorry. You skipped.
My apologies. I take this privilege to welcome Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy, Chairman, Board of Governors, IIT Roorkee, Founder and Executive Chairman at Cyient Limited, who has agreed to grace our conference with his presence. Mr. Mohan Reddy holds postgraduate degrees from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, and the University of Michigan. He has also received an honorary PhD from the Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Hyderabad, an honorary DSc from the Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, and Doctor of Science honoris causa from Yale University. He joined the DCM Group in 1974 and has subsequently worked with Myco Bosch HCL and OMC Computers Limited. He was the chairman of NASSCOM from 2014 to 2015 and is a prolific business analyst. He has also been a member of the NASSCOM Executive Council since 2003 and served as the chairman of the Confederation of Indian Industry, Southern Region 2008-2009. He is associated with councils of various academic and industry forums and has led several initiatives to help industrial companies evolve and grow. Mr. Reddy also serves as Chairman Board of Governors of IIT Hyderabad, member on the board of NIIT University Neemrana, and member of Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at IIIT Hyderabad. As Executive Chairman of Cyient, Mr. Mohan Reddy focuses on the medium to long-term future of the company. He is also involved in leadership development, innovation, information systems, and corporate social responsibility. Mr. Mohan Reddy founded Cyient in 1991 with the goal of providing engineering services to global markets. Since that time, he has established the Engineered in India brand, providing design engine.
Thank you, Ishta. I think that's a fairly long introduction for me. Thank you very much. I appreciate you introducing me. Can I interrupt you?
The pleasure is all ours, sir.
Thank you. So our chief guest for this morning, Mr. Ambar Dubey, Professor Ajit Chaturvedi, Professor S.K. Jain, Professor S.K. Ghosh, Professor Kamal Jain, Professor P.K. Garg, participants, attendees, and ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you. And I will join Professor Chaturvedi in also extending you a good Friday greetings to all of you. I'm very delighted that IIT Roorkee is doing this international conference on unmanned aerial systems in geomatics. That too, it's a second conference. If you look at the caption, there are two parts to it. One is the unmanned aerial systems, and the second part is the geomatics part of it. So these two things are very outstanding topics by themselves, by standalone themselves, because they're the most trending topics right now in the industry. Unmanned aerial vehicle systems, we have to differentiate between the vehicle versus the system. And the second one is the geomatics. Well, there are two trending topics. You'll also find there are strong dissimilarities between them. Geomatics, as all of us understand, which is all about the science of collection, distribution, storage, analysis, processing, presentation of geographic data. That's a science which is age-old, like IIT Roorkee. IIT Roorkee, with its 173 years of history, with starting off in civil engineering, if you look at geomatics, the roots of it is in surveying. Surveying, then progressively it went into analog to digital to where we are. I thought Professor Kamal Jain talked about pixels and subpixels and so on and so forth. Whereas you look at the other side, the unmanned aerial systems is a very recent technology. It's a very modern technology, though you can probably go back and find that in the 90s too, the US Army was using drones in a number of applications. But so therefore, there is trending between them. There is dissimilarity between them. But you look at IIT Roorkee again, that they do the leading edge technology. So that's this age-old institution, leading edge technology. But now look at the third facet of life, is you marry both of them. That is the unmanned aerial systems and geomatics. And I keep saying that thereafter, imagination is the only limitation in terms of what applications they can be put to. You also could rhyme it well because UAVs fly in the sky. So I could even say, just not imagination, sky is also the limit for people to think about the applications that they could be putting to. Now, why is that it has become so important at this point of time? Go back to what I said about the geomatics. It's all about geospatial data. And the data is the new oil or the new gold at this point of time. The other thing that's associated with it is this geospatial data is also reflecting back into location. And location has become very critical for everything and anything in the world. You have to describe an object, a person, location becomes very, very important. If you want to do any amount of analysis on what this particular institution does, location becomes important. So location is playing an extremely important part in making sure that we have analysis, processing, presentation to be done. So therefore, a combination of UAV systems and UAV systems and associated with the geomatics makes this one of the best fields one could address. So what is the underlying phenomena for it? To me, two things that are there. The first one is the technology. I think we have not experienced technology moving at a pace we are seeing at this point of time. So therefore, the technologies associated with UAVs are progressing very rapidly. Whether it is the cameras, whether it's the drones, whether the way in which the copters are being designed at this point of time, the variants of devices that go by, the amount of technological research that's going on material at this point of time, or the technology research that goes on batteries. So the sum total of all these is making sure that the UAVs are becoming lighter, they're becoming faster, they're becoming cheaper. And that's driven by technology. On the other side, if you look at it, the opportunity is also becoming very, very large. I had the privilege of working in this area for a number of years right now. Not so much so, I should be honest and transparent, by a choice, but by an accident. I wanted to start an engineering services company, but found an opportunity in geospatial data conversion. So we worked on that area for a very long time. And we have therefore seen enormous amount of transformation that has happened. While I acknowledge that Rashmi Verma started her Map My India, did enormously good work. And she was more courageous to do in India, whereas my business or my work was all in export business, fairly large compared to what Rashmi has done, all right. But more importantly, that opportunity in India is shaping up much better now, largely driven by Atmanirbhar Bharat. We're very optimistic that that opportunity will become huge because we want to build a self-reliant India. And we therefore require a lot amount of data about this country itself. We had the honor and privilege of doing the history of United Kingdom for 400 years. You can take the land parcel of United Kingdom 400 years back and get down to how your house has become today. The whole history of 400 years in a geospatial world was converted by us. So therefore, I think opportunities of that nature are still far away from where we are. So therefore, Atmanirbhar Bharat, there is this other major initiative of Government of India, which is Digital India. Our belief is Digital India will probably unlock about $1 trillion in this economy by 2024. 2024, yeah, 2025, probably 24, 25. So the opportunity is very large. And coupled with that, interestingly, the Government of India has also gone ahead and made two major announcements. There's one was, of course, the UAV policy. The second one, which I think therefore was all in a very confusing world. But the second one, which is very interesting, is in February of 2021, the government went ahead and announced a new geospatial data policy, which to me, as I tweeted, is democratization of data. Otherwise, there was a fairly large barrier between the private sector and the public sector, and even why public sector, actually, to the extent there is enough evidence to say even Survey of India was restricted in terms of doing some of the mapping work in India. So now that restrictions have been considerably released, it makes the whole thing, we look at the three pieces of it. There is a technology piece, there's a vision, which is the Atmanirbhar and the digital part of it. And a third one is the policy piece of it. So a combination of all these three things, a vision, a policy, and for execution technology, I think it is the best thing that we are doing in terms of sensitizing a number of people. I was very delighted to hear we are already sold out. I did see that on the landing page, that more than 500 attendees were there, because I was confused whether I had to register. And I said, my God, they're already registered. What do I do next? But congratulations, Professor Kamal Jain and Professor S.K. Ghosh for doing that initiative. I'll just have two more thoughts to share before I conclude. So therefore, in this situation, what do academic institutions do is the next question that comes by. I think, my strong recommendation to the participants, the attendees, and the outstanding faculty who are the best in technology is that we have to focus on innovation and research. What is innovation that I'm looking at? To me, innovation, of course, is the same way everybody defines it, but more interestingly, please look for local problems. Please look for problems which are going to real problems. Don't imagine problems for yourself. And the third one is problems that can create more amount of social benefit. So our innovation drive today in India, if you truly, because we got to go back to the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. If you want to do that, please focus on local. Please focus on real problems. Please also make sure that there is a fairly large amount of social benefit. Extending that, if innovation has to come by, there's a fairly large amount of research that's required. So research has also to be aligned towards our needs. Equally important is what I keep saying, if education institutions have to survive in a longer term, that we have to ensure that this research that we are doing has to be monetized, which means that it has to become useful to the society at large, or more in specific to the industry. So in effect, what it means is that let's do work where we can produce something very tangible for the institution and the individual to get benefited. You create the intellectual property, which then becomes monetized by the institution as well as the individual. So my strong recommendation on that front is making sure that we have to have innovation in research. Lastly, I think this is a very nascent industry, nascent form it is in, and there are still, therefore, lots of issues that people are being raised about standards. So please, I like to strongly recommend to the IIT, our faculty, to look at this issue of standards. And lastly, this is a new technology, and one of the challenges that we find, because I've been dabbling around with this technology for a little while, I know one of the key challenges that we have is also skilled people. You don't find them. Take the example of precision agriculture. You've done some work in that area. You fly the drones, you are in a position to get 34 characteristics of the soil as well as the crop, and amazing results thereafter. But then can it be done by a very senior engineer from a blue chip company to come and do that job? No, we need to find thousands of those drone technicians. Similar is the case with number of other applications. In the lockdown period, we were helping the Hyderabad police in making sure the drones were used in terms of implementing lockdown norms. And again, who is flying them? It's the police constable who does that. Or we did something to do with women's safety of the recent past. We actually donated these drones to the Hyderabad police. And what is it again? There's an application, woman in distress, presses her smartphone. There's a beeper coming back to the police station. Before even cop can take his jeep and go to rescue, the drone is far ahead and it makes such a sound that thereafter, then nobody can really touch the person. So therefore, I think, again, who's the person who is going to operate this drone is the police constable. So we need to look at other facets to make sure, because we're saying UAV systems. And in systems, it's not just the components that go in. It's not the camera. It's not the fans, not the payload, not the pesticide. Actually, we have an application where we carry pesticide on the drones at this point in time to spray exactly on a 1 by 1 square feet. So it's not that part of it. What is more important is making sure that the whole system, that is, we also need skilled technicians. We need to make sure the costs come down. There is social benefit, real problems are addressed. Those are the few thoughts I had to share with all of you this morning. I wish the conference a grand success, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. We are indeed grateful to you for sharing your knowledge with us, and your perspective has really been very enlightening. Thank you very much, sir. I now welcome our revered chief guest, Mr. Amber Dubey, Joint Secretary at Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India. Mr. Amber Dubey is an alumnus of IIT Bombay and IIT Ahmedabad and has a professional experience of over 27 years. He was one of the 9 professionals selected in September 2019 by the Government of India to join as joint secretaries in the Union Government at Ministry of Civil Aviation. Mr. Amber Dubey is looking after information technology, digital innovation, skill development, and job growth. Earlier, he was India Head of Aerospace and Defense at global consultancy KPMG. At KPMG, Mr. Dubey led several assignments related to policy strategy, bid transactions, and regulatory issues. He has assisted central and state governments, regulators, airports, airlines, cargo, and MRO companies in India and abroad. He has worked closely with the Ministry of Civil Aviation in drafting the Vision 2040, National Civil Aviation Policy 2016, and the policy framework for the Regional Connectivity Scheme. He had earlier assisted the Ministry of Civil Aviation in drafting the 12th 5-year plan for aviation. Mr. Amber Dubey was honored for his valuable contribution to Indian aviation in 2012 by the then Aviation Minister. May I now request Mr. Amber Dubey to please share his views with us. I request.
You have to unmute.
I request you, sir, to unmute yourself. Thank you, sir.
You are still muted. Muted. It is okay now. No, sound is not there.
Maybe your mic is not connected, or is the mic muted in the device?
So it's unmuted.
Okay. Or maybe you can log in again. Yeah, you can log in again. Yeah.
इसका चेकअप को दोबारा से लॉगिन कराना है.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Quite well.
Okay. Thank you so much, and my apologies for this needless delay. Also, Ishta, on a lighter note, I had a 10-minute slot, 5 minutes gone in connecting, reconnecting, 5 minutes in the intro. So in future, what you can do is anyway, all our profiles are on the, I'm just saying on a lighter note, all our profiles are on your platform anyways. So, and it's very embarrassing to listen to your own profile being read out. So just spare us the horror. And I think everybody is a known person here. It's a very small community. So just for on a lighter note, also very good morning, namaskar to everyone. It's a matter of great honor and pride for me to be part of this August panel. I'll not name everyone, otherwise we'll spend another 2 minutes, and each one is a luminary. And also in the audience, also I'm sure the very knowledgeable people who are going to who already bring a lot of honor and will bring a lot of honor to the country. From the ministry side, I don't want to give a long speech because we can go on and bore you to death on a extended weekend morning. What I'll do is I'll just quickly go through some 2, 3, or 4 key things that we're trying to do, and then we would rather make it interactive. So Ishta or anyone in the panel, if you can just, or there could be people who can put some questions in the chat. And then if I answer questions, it's I mean, you have a Babu, put him on a mat, ask him tough questions. That will make it a little more spicy rather than me going on and on about government's achievements. Okay, so just 3, 4 quick points in 5 minutes. I'll stop. Most of you know, I think Dr. Reddy's already mentioned, we've had the US rules which were released on I think 12th of March. After that, we also have a single online single window Digital Sky platform. The first phase, we were working on a beta version that's also launched now on 18th of March. Of course, it'll have teething troubles because whenever we try something new, that too on a national scale, given the scale that we have in India, there will always be teething trouble. So my apologies in advance, and your criticism and your feedback will be most appreciated and welcome, and will only make us better and better. And as Dr. Reddy already mentioned, this drones is the future. I mean, I don't even need to tell you what things you can do. Anything which is dull, dirty, and dangerous, as we call it, the 3D. Dull, dirty, and dangerous, and there are lots and lots of such jobs can all be done by a drone easily, peacefully. They won't even have emotions or a union to protect them, and they can go on and on like a donkey over and over again at a fraction of a price. So this is the future. In fact, even the regular aircraft, these Indigos and SpiceJets and Lufthansas will all become drones in whether 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, we don't know. And the pace at which technology changes, it could be faster than we can imagine. Okay, and there will be no cockpit and there will be no pilot. In fact, the pilot will be sitting on the ground or maybe even underground. Okay, and from there, they'll be taking off your flight from Roorkee or Delhi to Bangalore or Hyderabad. So this is the future. And in terms of actual areas where we see huge benefits, and again, I'll quote you, Chairman, that you have to focus on Indian problems, Indian solutions for Indian problems. And this is right now, Atmanirbhar Bharat is a buzzword. It always was, but the current government is putting extraordinary emphasis on this, even at the cost of pissing off some of our global friends or enemies or whatever you call them. And we see huge opportunities in ADHL, as we call it, agriculture, disaster relief, healthcare, and logistics. Okay, and in logistics, we'll have infrastructure, also telecom. So when you say infrastructure, or the other acronym we use is DISHA, drones for infra, safety, security, healthcare, and agriculture. So infra itself is, I mean, if you look at the transportation infrastructure, telecom infrastructure, power transmission, and over the last 1.5 years, because our Digital Sky platform was under development, we decided that the show must go on, work cannot stop. It's a giant country, and this is one technology that we are already a decade behind our friendly neighbor up north, China, whom we want to not only catch up and then beat one day. And but even before we want to beat someone, you have to first respect them. Okay, so first we respect what the Chinese have done, then we'll catch up, and then we'll beat them. So infrastructure, safety, security, healthcare, agri, these are the focus areas for drones. I also commend what IIT Roorkee has done. I mean, you're a legend, so I don't even need to say anything about Roorkee. We have all grown up hoping and that some of us may make it to this exalted institution. Has done brilliant work. I mean, literally the who's who in both technology and management and companies, and not just in India, across the world. I mean, IITs and Roorkees, and now IIT and Roorkee is also one brand. So it's something that India, it's always made India proud. Your alumni have made India proud. And I hope the youngsters get inspired by what their luminary alumni and professors have done and continue to the great work. Just to quickly also summarize some of the key areas where drones, actually last year, though, of course, we are still in the midst of the second big wave of COVID, and I'm sure, inshallah, we will conquer this like we conquered the first wave. And but last year, though, despite all the setbacks and devastation caused by COVID, as they say, every calamity is an opportunity. So I'm very glad to see that both in industry and in the government and policy making, India has actually been at the forefront to not let this crisis, they say never let a crisis go waste here. So India has actually succeeded in converting this great calamity into an opportunity. And so many policy changes, some of them were already mentioned by the Director Saab and by your chairman, have already been done using this opportunity. Because sometimes we do a lot of this intellectual over debates and over discussion on changing a simple line in the government as well. But when a calamity hits us, many of these massive changes are just done at a snap of a finger. Okay, and nobody avoids it. Barely 10% of that is actually known in the public domain. 90% of those regulatory changes, procedural changes, process changes, form changes, number of approvals, because we love putting layers and layers of in the name of checks and balances. A lot of those things have been removed. It's just that only 5 to 10% of that is known in the public domain. 90% of that is silent done, because even if you talk about it, you embarrass some people, or you embarrass the past. That is not the focus. We are only focusing on the future, because past is something you can't change. Only present and future is what in our hands. Now, if you look at the whole COVID thing, in COVID, drones played a big role. In the locust attack, which happened exactly about a year back, I mean, not exactly a year back, but about 10, 11 months back, in May and June, lots of policy changes were done. Spraying is completely banned, and that too spraying of pesticides, because that's spraying poison. That ban was overturned in one day, less than 24 hours. In fact, at 8 p.m., the file was sent to the minister's home. 9:30 morning, when I reached the office, the file was already on my desk, and by afternoon, we had changed the route. So this is a decades old. Of course, it was limited only to Rajasthan and only for locust operations, but spraying of pesticides was allowed in exactly one day. And in 9 days flat, including weekends, we actually gave out work orders to 5 drone companies. They were all spread out across the country. And they were allotted 1 district each out of 5 districts in worst hit districts in Rajasthan. And another 3 days, they all reached there. So 9 days without a tender in government to give out work orders, and that too at some 7 p.m. on a Saturday. This is unprecedented, but it just shows that when Indians decide, we are a sleeping giant, sleeping elephant. We have done enough of lamenting about India being a huge capacity. It is small countries, they're far ahead. And we take a long time to wake up. We delay things in the name of checks and balances. But once this country wakes up, and that too, we wake up on either on a cricket match or on a big project or a calamity. When there is a calamity, the way Indians get together, and I've seen that over and over again in the last 18 months that I've spent inside the government. Anyway, I've been working with the government for almost 20 years as an outsider. Okay, part of very, very critical teams, but as an outsider. But now when I deal with at the assistant section officer level, section officer, under secretary level, I realize that it is a sleeping giant, and I get even more excited now. Yes, there are problems, but when Indians get together on a calamity you see the amount of collaboration that happened and the power of the government, that at a time when there was not even a single dhaba open in Rajasthan in May and in June, we had into the interiors in areas where the tractor trolleys couldn't go and the truck mounted spray machines couldn't go. We had the drones, which is going, because undulating terrain, you can't send those ground equipment. It is the drones which actually went into those areas where they land, or even the helicopters, because helicopters do overall spraying. So Air Force and some private helicopters were also used. Ground equipment, and the gap was filled in by the drones, because especially on treetop, the kikar and babool trees, on top of that, the entire tree would be covered with locusts. It would be brown, like a brown blanket. Okay, and the drones could go on top of the trees and do pinpointed spraying. So for us, this calamity of both twin calamity of COVID and locust came as a big boon. It brought drones into front and showed what kind of capability exists. And our young entrepreneurs who traveled from Mumbai, Nagpur, Cochin, Bhubaneswar, Calcutta, I can just go on, Uttarakhand, I can go on. And these patriots, I mean, what troubles them. There was no hotel, no restaurant, no dhaba open. Okay, the streets were empty in June, all highways, and they would go into the interiors because I mean there are no locusts on the highways. So I don't want to go on and on, but just shows that this is just one example how when we get together we can create magic and surprise the world. Then on Swamitwa, this is the last example I would give on Swamitwa. Also, as you've seen, again, a lot of drone work happening in the interiors of India, where it's a very landmark scheme. We've all, I think many of us have seen in our own, amongst our own forefathers and uncles fighting court cases for almost 30 years and with no resolution. And all this will be wiped out by one simple thing. Patwari going to the village and along with the revenue officials just marking a chune ki line around the rural properties, the huts and the houses in the rural areas. And that's exactly where our 60 to 70% of the population is. And then a drone just comes and zooms over the village, maybe almost 5 to 10 villages in a day, and captures those images. Those images are then auto rectified, and you put the geo-tagging on the 4 corners or 5 or 6 corners of the property. And then it's allotted. You have a digital certificate, just like your Aadhaar card. You have the photo, you have the corners geotagged to maybe the 8th or 10th place or decimal, and with your name and your Aadhaar number, and just using your Aadhaar number, you can download the digital certificate on your phone. You can go to a bank and take a loan on that. You can give it to your sons and daughters. You can split it amongst your brothers. You can do whatever. Okay, so this is a digital revolution happening very silently, very quietly in 8 states right now, and gradually it will be rolled out to the entire nation. And the target, it's a very stiff target to complete 6.6 lakh villages by December of 2024. Not easy, but even the Honorable Prime Minister was surprised when in October he actually released the 1 lakh property cards in October, in just about 7-8 months during the COVID period. Bulk of the photo, the entire photography, the aerial photography and geotagging and issue of digital certificates happened during the COVID period. And in October, when he gave out the 1 lakh property cards, I mean, he himself acknowledged in his speech that even I was not very hopeful, but again shows that when Indians decide across center, state, district, village, panchayat level, everybody gets together and we can get magic. So these are 3 broad areas. Otherwise, I mean, I can go on and on. One very interesting, again, on a lighter note, I think Dr. Reddy spoke about the drone deliveries. Yes, the BVLOS, it is called the Beyond Visual Line of Sight experiments. 20 consortia have already been shortlisted by an interministerial committee. We have an interministerial committee comprising industry as well as some of the nodal ministries and including security agencies and Ministry of Defense and Air Force people. And 20 consortia have already been shortlisted. This was done last year in the midst of this COVID drama happening. Or around 120 plus of those consortia members, because they have many members and each member has 4 or 5 board members. So each one of those, the security clearance, almost 120 plus individuals has already been completed by our security agencies. The airspace approval, those 20 consortia will do the experiments in certain airspaces, which are almost 10 to 30 kilometers long, because the drones will fly 30 kilometers. So even those airspaces have now been almost cleared. We are awaiting the final go-ahead from MHA. And hopefully by April end, we should be starting the experiments. Maybe another 5-6 months, we'll do the experiments and then come up with the draft guidelines, which will be shared for public opinion and public feedback. And hopefully by December of this year, we should be releasing the guidelines for Beyond Visual Line of Sight. So when people ask, "Bhai, wo pizza kab deliver hoga?" So I mean, almost feel like laughing, because see, as Dr. Reddy also mentioned, we cannot. I mean, delivering pizza is not India's focus. Yeah, delivering drugs to a village in Uttarakhand or in Nagaland, where the hill could be maybe just about 15-20 minutes away by drone. But if I have to go physically, it may take me 6 hours to reach that village. So to take medicines or take blood samples or to bring blood samples or essential supplies, that is what our focus is. Delivering pizza to a house in Greater Kailash is not exactly our focus area. So I tell our young colleagues who are doing brilliant work, these young donor entrepreneurs, we're not able to give money because this government is not in the business of giving direct money. Of course, it'll go to institutions under the science and technology budget. It comes to leading institutions like IIT Roorkee and the other IITs and Anna University. So various places wherever cutting edge research and incubation is happening. So we give money there. So it's a direct benefit transfer to the institutes, not directly to the companies, but indirectly through by cajoling, pressurizing, pleading with government agency, because government could be one of the biggest users. Because when you say infrastructure, security, healthcare, disaster, agriculture, these are all governments is a user. So Indian Railways big user, Indian Oil for pipelines, railways for the track testing, NHAI for roads and future roads, and also monitoring your current projects. I mean, you can literally steel plants literally sitting in Delhi or Mumbai. You can actually see what's happening in a steel plant or chemical plant or a road-based project. So or on your phone. I mean, a CMD Coal India can just sit in his office, and wherever he's traveling on his phone, he can just swipe, go from coal mine to coal mine and see what's happening. And this is very different from a CCTV, because these drones, I mean, you can program them, you can have algorithms, they can move wherever you want. Okay, and that they give you incredible level of data at a very, very high accuracy at maybe 1/10 of the cost. So huge benefits there. The other angle is the civil military collaboration. I'm very happy to see that there's a lot of collaboration. Some of our best drone entrepreneurs are actually also working in a both known and unknown way with our defense forces, even in Leh Ladakh and the western borders. They're doing commendable work, which I can't share here. Okay, we spoke about Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we also for Locus, we allowed engine powered drones. So this is another innovation, because we found that in Rajasthan, charging the batteries was a big issue, because you are almost 10, 20, 30 kilometers away from the nearest village. Okay, now where do you get your batteries from? So of course you can, and charging it through your car batteries was a big problem. Carrying then Honda gensets and whatever gensets that we had, that also was an issue. So then Anna University, Professor Senthil there is doing some amazing work there. He came up with his engine powered drones. Of course, it's noisy and it adds to the weight also, but we have to, when in a war situation, you look at everything, you unleash everything that you can. He came up with that, and engine powered drones were allowed. Again, in a matter of just 7 days, we changed the policy and allowed that. And because of engines, what happened was the endurance went up from instead of 20 minutes, every 20 minutes, the drones were coming down. Now they took it to almost 45 minutes, because the prime mover was the engine itself, which was flying along with the drone and charging the batteries, and the batteries were running the propellers. So that was a great innovation. That also allowed us to increase the size of the pesticide tank from 10 to 16 liters, almost 60% increase in the payload. So these are various innovations. These are all Indian jugards. Nowhere in the world have you seen such. I'm sure it must be somewhere there, but these are Indian solutions for Indian problems, and that really, really helped us. Last point is that why we seen the rules, we've got a lot of criticism saying it's very intrusive and very, very, let me just tell you that, I mean, that nothing can be farther from the truth. And as this government is, I mean, our stated policy is go for Atmanirbhar Bharat, vocal for local, supporting our own tech, and also leapfrogging, because let's be very, very blunt and honest, hand on heart, we miss the aerospace. I mean, the aeronautical part of aerospace. Space, of course, thanks to Pokhran, we got blacklisted, zero support for India, and then there were technology denial that forced ISRO to start working with this private sector. So all the Tatas, Godreges, Walchand Nagar, they worked with them, L&T, and they did commendable work, and just see where they are. 98, the Pokhran blast happened, 99, Kargil war happened, and within 20 years, we were now sending NASA satellites and German satellites and Singaporean satellites using a very cheap, very high-end, but very inexpensive, competitively priced ISRO satellites. Okay, this is the power of public-private partnership. And similarly, there's another area I thought I'll discuss. See, this whole, under this government, we are also killing this whole public-private. I mean, just yesterday, in today's newspapers, you would have seen the TAFE chairperson is now the head of PESB. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have had a heart attack. In fact, this news came out last night itself. Can you believe it that all PSUs, the CEOs of all PSUs is actually are selected by the PESB, the Public Enterprise Selection Board, is headed by a private sector CMD? Unthinkable. Even the person speaking right now, I mean, till 18 months back, I was in the private sector. Who imagined that I would be, I mean, in the government, inside the government, with access to all the secret files that I have access to, and I also am very privileged to be handling some of the most exciting parts of aviation, which is drones, and now MRO, aerospace manufacturing, that has also been added to my portfolio. Literally, it's 7-day working, and sort of the government that we have, and my honorable secretary and minister, they work 7 days a week. It's crazy, but it's also very fulfilling, because we see that every file we clear is clearing out some problem which existed for the last 1 week, 1 year, or even a decade, and those are being cleaned out. Okay, so I handle innovation, aerospace, manufacturing, MRO, drones, and several job, and also flying academies, AME schools. Literally, the biggest I mean, who would have thought that the biggest portfolio will be actually with a person who's neither IAS nor IPS nor any of those 3-letter, 4-letter services. So great winds of change happening. Last night, you would have also seen another order which has come out, and there's this, I'm forgetting the exact name, this capacity building program. It's going to be a massive skill building across the government, because government is the largest employer in the country. And there's going to be a massive capacity building, because I think the government has realized that I think things need to change, and the old methods will not work. And this whole artificial segregation between private and public, everybody's a patriot. Nobody has the goddamn right to give any certificates of patriotism or cleanliness, or that just because I'm Sarkari, carrying a Sarkari badge, I am very clean and you're unclean. Okay, there are crooks existing in every walk of life across professions. So this whole artificial divide between public, private, this, that is all gone. All are Indians, till proved wrong. Okay, and everybody's a patriot. Everybody wants this country to become a Vishwaguru and a great leader that we were. Okay, we had a sad past, that's all gone. And now it's time for us to repair the damage done, and a great hope from our youngsters. So, I mean, I can't see them on the screen, but my biggest wishes, best wishes, all our young engineers and scientists, and even non-engineers and non-scientific thinkers, economists, finance people, marketing people, HR people. My best wishes to you. Keep up the great work. We did whatever we did in our generation. Now we look up to you. कहते हैं ना, अब वतन तुम्हारे हवाले साथियों. So please work hard, slog hard, have fun, enjoy, innovate, and just use drone technology as a leapfrog technology. That whatever we lost in the aerospace, so the Boeings and the Airbuses, with all due respect, they're far ahead now. Maybe one day we'll catch up, thanks to you youngsters. But in drones, we have this leapfrog opportunity, just like we had in IT in the 80s. Okay, this is a big moment. If the Honorable PM understands the value. We also mentioned about the geospatial policy. What a policy! Imagine decades of those rules are gone in one stroke of a pen, gone. So many committees set up, and I've been in those committees where government agencies like Survey of India, Geological Survey, Atomic Minerals Department, they are the ones, I mean, they're telling me, Ambar Dubey, you get Qatar mein lago piche, okay, you waiting for this map approval, that approval for what, 3 months, 4 months? We have been waiting for 8 months. Gone. In one stroke of a pen, gone. No more committees. It's clearly say, if you read the guidelines, says you can edit, add, subtract, record, save, sell, do whatever shit you want to do. Sorry for the language. You can do whatever you want without taking approval of any entity at all. And this is a very strong line. In supersession of anything to the contrary, any act, law, whatever, of course, this guideline has to be now converted into a formal law, but in supersession of anything to the contrary, because many times you are thrown this notification, 1962 National Security Official Secret Act, is that 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, okay, fine, they were done in the wisdom of the people. Then the word has completely changed. The word changes literally every 2 to 3 years. I would say every 2-3 months, the word changes. So you can't use laws which are dated 60s, 70s, and 80s. They have to keep in touch with the time, because laws have to help the country, not block the country. Gone. It's just that, I mean, 1 meter plus, you can do whatever you want to do. 1 meter and less accuracy. All we are saying is Indian company, Indian server. You can give it like Google Maps. You can, through an API, you can give any information to any Toshiba or Panasonic or Google or whosoever, or say General Motors. But it's just that it has to be saved. The raw data cannot be given if it's 1 meter, finer than 1 meter accuracy. But Indian company, Indian server, do whatever, no permission required. You can do any aerial photography you want. So this is the, I mean, this is the indicator of things to come. Things are changing. Please make the best use of it. I think I've already exceeded way beyond my talk. I thought I'll talk for 5 minutes, but this is such an exciting field. I just thought some of these things are not known in the public domain. And since this is a very erudite group, I thought I'll share. So I don't think there are times of questions and answers, but if you have 2-3 questions, I'll be very happy to answer. Ishita, over to you. Thank you so much and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. We are really grateful to you for sharing your insight with us and for your very encouraging words. And I must also inform all our viewers that we have attendees from all over the world, like countries from Canada and Japan who are attending the conference. And I would also wish to inform that tomorrow we have a plenary session by Mr. Amber Dubey on UAV rules and regulations, and you all are invited to join us there. Thank you so much, sir.
Ishita, sorry, unfortunately, I have a clashing. As I said, we work 7 days. Unfortunately, I've already given my apologies to Dr. Jain. Tomorrow, unfortunately, I won't be there. There's another clashing event. So if there's some queries, maybe I'll be very happy to answer right now, because I know that they're also conscious of time. 10:45 was the cutoff time. But if you can just squeeze in 2-3 short questions, I'll be very happy to answer. Babu hai bhai, attack karo Babu. I mean, kahan aapko Babu se direct access milta hai?
Amberji, just one question. Because right now this Sky One is in beta version, so we have already made and we want to register. So how much time it will take? Because without that, it will not be possible to get the certification.
Sure, sir. If it's taken time, my apologies. First of all, public apology without giving any excuses. Number 2, the beta version is over, and 18th March we've already launched our first phase. Please apply there. You have my email ID, mobile number. Just if there's any problem, just let me know. I'll get one of my good guys. There's a guy called Subhashish in my team. I'll appoint him as a nodal officer. He'll handhold you till. And by the way, another good news which I couldn't share because time was short. A lot of things have happened in the last 1 year. Also, 15 drone schools have now been approved. Okay, in a space of just, 2 months, we went through the whole documentation. 15 drone schools are done because we want more and more trained people to come in, especially for Swamitwa and these schemes where they need hundreds of drone pilots. And there was something, also the drones directorate has now been set up. Despite the fact that last year we had complete ban on any new department or even one person, if I needed, I would not get it. Okay, because it was a year of austerity. But now you've seen the good news yesterday. We have had record GST collection. So India is, that's what tells you how powerful this elephant is. Once it wakes up and just shakes up, okay, it can shock the world. Yeah. The highest GDP, GST collections in March of last year. So drones directed with 13 people, though we were told, hoega hi nahi, wo hi nahi sakta. But thanks to my minister and my secretary's push, we actually got approval, and 13-member drones directorate has now been set up inside DGs as a separate directorate. So, Jain Saab, any problem you have, as I said, apologies for any delay that you might have faced. Maybe there's some teething troubles because the beta was converted into, because that was done by another agency. Now there's a new company which has developed the phase 1, and this company will now continue for the next 5 years. Happiest minds, Mr. Ashok Soota. In fact, I think he's also your alumni, right?
Yes, he's our alumni.
एक उनको ही WhatsApp मार दीजिए, बोलिए कि सूटा साहब इसको जरा रुड़की को जरा fast approval चाहिए, VIP treatment. So anyway, we are against VIP treatment, but on a serious note, just let us know. I'll put a nodal officer along with you. Also in the drones directorate, we'll ensure that people like you have to be respected and supported. You are at the forefront. हमारा तो काम सबसे आसान है. हम तो बैठ के सिर्फ ये webinar में आके भाषण देते हैं. You are the ones who's actually innovating, creating the digital revolution and the drone revolution. So don't worry, we'll speed it up. Any last question? Because I'm conscious of time.
Can you we have your recorded presentation for tomorrow? Because it was very
presentation nahi sir, presentation boss, we are so impressed that अगर हम presentation बनाने बैठ गए ना तो और हमारा काम रुक जाए.
हाँ, ठीक है. Okay.
So we have a question.
But my only request is after this, when you, I'm sure you're going to put this up on some shared drive where I can also download and read the presentations. If somebody can send me that link, I'll be very happy to go through the deliberations, because see, this conversation is still at a high level. I know there are many more very, very technical sessions which are going to come up, and I'm a good student of drone technology. I'll be very happy to go through that, and then we can engage in more specific conversations on some of those issues. Thank you so much.
Send it again. Yeah, please.
So we have a question coming up from an attendee. The question goes, is Digital Sky going to be a single national platform to register any operating UAV systems and flights?
Quick answer, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Now we can conclude.
Sir. So may I now call upon Professor P.K. Garg for his vote of thanks.
Respected Chief Guest Shri Ambar Dubey, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India, Padma Shri BVR Mohan Reddy, Chairman BOG IIT Roorkee, Professor Ajit Chaturvedi, Director IIT Roorkee and patron of this conference, Professor S.K. Ghosh, Head Civil Engineering Department and Chairman of the conference, Professor Kamal Jain, Organizing Secretary, UASG 2021, dear delegates, colleagues, research scholars, students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. It gives me a great pleasure to propose vote of thanks to all the dignitaries and attendees of the conference. On behalf of the entire organizing team and on my own behalf, first of all, I would like to thank our chief guest, Shri Ambar Dubey, Joint Secretary, Civil Aviation, who, despite his busy schedule, spared valuable time for gracing the inaugural function. We are grateful to you, sir. My gratitude and sincere thanks to Padma Shri BVR Reddy, Chairman BOG IIT Roorkee, for enlightening us with his words of encouragement and sparing his valuable time. We are blessed with your kind presence, sir, and your presence matters us a lot. I would like to offer my sincere thanks to Professor Chaturvedi, Director IIT Roorkee and patron of the conference, for encouraging us and making all the facilities of the institute and support available to organize the conference. I would like to thank Professor S.K. Ghosh, Head Civil Engineering Department, for providing all the necessary support, guidance for organizing the conference. Professor Ghosh understands the importance of such conferences, as he himself is an expert in geomatics engineering. Professor Kamal Jain, the organizing secretary, deserves special thanks for taking lead in organizing second conference in the series during the tough time of COVID-19 pandemic and bringing all the experts and learners under the banner of the conference to give fillip to UAV activities in the country. My heartfelt thanks to all the national and international delegates for participating in the conference and contributing large number of technical papers, as without their participation, the conference would not exist. I'm sure that many of the papers will give us future insight to take up the research work. I would like to thank co-organizer, International Society of Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing, Indian Society of Remote Sensing, UNESCO, INCCU for their patronage to the conference. I would fail in my duty if I don't mention the sponsors of the conference. The key sponsors are Pix4D, Survey of India, DRDO, SP Singla Construction Private Limited, Campbell Systems, Ravenai Geospatial Private Limited. A big thanks to them. I would like to thank our knowledge partners, Bazama University, Saudi Arabia, IIT Ropar, Delhi Technology University, Delhi Shivaji College, Delhi University, for their encouragement and active participation to the conference. Springer PFG Journal of Photogrammetry, Remote Sensing and Geoinformation Science, MDPI Drones Journal of Unmanned Vehicle Systems, for their support in publicity and publications. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the entire team of UASG 2021 for their dedication and untiring work to make this conference a success. I would say that they are the real heroes of the show working behind the screen. At the end, I would like to thank all who have contributed directly or indirectly to make this conference a big success. Thank you very much and Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dubey. Thank you, Professor Chaturvedi, and thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I once again thank our elite and distinguished guests for taking out their valuable time and gracing the conference with their presence. We will now end the inaugural ceremony session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.